Are you who you are underneath, or is it what you do that defines you? Let's talk about the catchiest phrase in all of Batman. Welcome to the Gotham City Gospel, a place where faith, film, and philosophy interact. You know, an interesting thing about Batman is that he's really three characters. There's the Batman, there's Public Bruce, the billionaire playboy, and then there's Private Bruce.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Could you tell me which of these guys is Bruce Wayne?
Well, I'm not sure.
One of the things I love about Batman Begins is that it takes itself so seriously, which means it also brings up these greater questions, like the great existential question, who am I really? And who gets to define who I am? This movie gives a suggestion about who you really are and how to define yourself. Now, before I engage this quote directly, I want to set up the scene and show you how the movie makes an argument about which things should not define you. So in Batman Begins, Private Bruce creates this persona, Public Bruce, in order to protect his identity as Batman.
Sir, the pool is for decoration and your friends do not have swimwear. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. It is not a question of money.
You see, I'm buying this hotel and setting some new rules about the pool area.
This seems like a fine plan for Bruce, because he doesn't really care what people think of him. All that matters is his war on injustice. That is until he runs into his oldest friend and love interest, the one person whose opinion he really cares about.
Bruce?
Rachel?
What are you doing?
Just swimming. Wow, it is good to see you.
You were gone a long time.
I know. How are things?
Same. Job's getting worse.
Can't change the world on your own.
What choice do I have? When you're too busy swimming.
Rachel, all this, it's not me. It's inside. I am more.
Come on, Bruce, come on! Bruce, we have some more hotels for you to buy.
Bruce, it's not who you are underneath. It's what you do that defines you.
This scene is awesome. So you can imagine that the writers of Batman Begins are putting their perspective in the mouth of Rachel Dawes. That it's not who you are underneath, but what you do that defines you. And this is a scene where that's put to the test because, ironically, Bruce Wayne is actually living this philosophy. He doesn't care about what these other rich people think of him, but he does care about what Rachel thinks of him. But he's willing to sacrifice her opinion for the sake of his greater cause. See, Batman doesn't have a fear of man. His identity is deeper. Inside, he is more. And what he's really saying is, I'm Batman. Batman Begins is arguing that your identity does not come from at least two places. It does not come from the opinions of others. The Bible calls this the fear of man. You don't let the fear of man define you and change the way you act. The Bible says in Proverbs 29:25 that the fear of man will prove to be a snare. The fear of somebody's opinions, of what people think about you and what they'll do, will be a snare to you. It'll be a trap. It'll keep you from doing what you ought to do. Part of Batman becoming a creature of fear and overcoming his own fears is overcoming the fear of man. No matter how painful it might be to see a friend be so disappointed in you. Another thing that Batman Begins argues is not the core of your identity, doesn't define you, is your wealth and possessions. Your identity does not come from your wealth and power and privilege. Although Bruce is flaunting his wealth and power, the whole scene is meant to argue that this is really not a way to live. Jesus says in Luke 12:15, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." Then he tells him of a parable of a rich man who stores up all of his stuff, but then it's all destroyed and wiped away. And he says, this is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself but is not rich toward God. I ask you to consider one of Jesus' most haunting questions. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world yet forfeit his soul? There's no U-Hauls behind hearses. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world yet loses his own soul? So in this scene, setting up the catchiest phrase in Batman Begins, we can see that it's implicitly arguing that you are not your wealth and you are not what other people think of you. You're more than your reputation. You're more than the material things that you have. This is the interaction of faith, film, and philosophy. Thanks for watching, and until next time, grace and peace, my friends.